You know that feeling when everything's falling apart, and you're watching someone else handle the exact same situation like it's nothing? Meanwhile, you're either frozen in place, frantically making lists, or ready to burn everything down and start over. Here's the truth nobody tells you: you're not broken. You're just wired differently. And understanding exactly how your brain responds to pressure isn't just interesting, it's the difference between drowning in chaos and turning stress into your competitive advantage. Before we dive in, if you're serious about understanding yourself at a deeper level and using that knowledge to build a better life, hit that like button, subscribe to Finance Decoded Daily, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because what you're about to discover will change how you see yourself forever. Today, we're breaking down how each personality type handles stress, why it matters more than you think, and, most importantly, how to use this knowledge to stop fighting against your nature and start working with it. Let's get into it. The stress response nobody talks about. Here's what they don't teach you in school: stress isn't universal. When pressure hits, your colleague might thrive on the adrenaline while you're calculating every possible outcome in your head. Your friend might want to talk through their feelings while you need complete solitude to think. And none of you are wrong. The problem is that society treats stress like it's one size fits all. Just stay positive. Take a deep breath. Don't worry about it. As if everyone's brain operates on the same frequency. But you've probably noticed this doesn't work. Because when you're stressed, you don't just feel different, you literally process information differently based on your personality type. Understanding this isn't about putting yourself in a box. It's about recognizing your patterns so you can predict your reactions, prepare for your weak spots, and play to your strengths when everything's on the line. The analysts, when logic meets chaos. If you're an analytical personality, the architect, the logician, the commander, the debater, you approach stress like a complex equation that just needs solving. When pressure hits, your first instinct is to step back and analyze. You're not interested in feelings or platitudes. You want data. You want to understand the system. You need to see the entire chessboard before you make a move. Here's your strength: you can find solutions others miss because you're not emotionally clouded. While everyone else is panicking, you're identifying patterns, spotting inefficiencies, and building frameworks to prevent this from happening again. But here's your trap: you can get so stuck in analysis that you forget to act. You'll research every angle, consider every variable, and build the perfect plan while the deadline passes. And when emotions are actually necessary, when a team member needs reassurance or a client needs empathy, you can come across as cold or detached. Your stress trigger: incompetence and illogical systems. Nothing frustrates you more than watching people make emotional decisions that ignore obvious facts. You'll mentally check out of situations where feeling matters more than thinking. How to handle it: set decision deadlines for yourself. Give yourself permission to analyze for a specific amount of time, then commit to action even if you don't have perfect information. And remember, sometimes the illogical, emotional response from others is the data you need to factor in. The diplomats, feeling everything at once. If you're a diplomat personality, the advocate, the mediator, the protagonist, the campaigner, stress hits you differently. It doesn't just affect your mind, it invades your entire emotional landscape. When things go wrong, you don't just think about the problem. You feel it. You absorb the stress of everyone around you. You're worried about how this affects the team, whether people are okay, what this means for relationships and harmony. Your strength is beautiful: you can navigate interpersonal dynamics that would baffle the analysts. You maintain team morale when everything's falling apart. You see the human element in every situation and ensure nobody gets left behind emotionally. But here's where you struggle: you take on stress that isn't yours. You'll lie awake thinking about conflicts that don't involve you. You'll sacrifice your own well-being to maintain peace. And when stressed, you can become so focused on everyone else's feelings that you ignore practical solutions staring you in the face. Your stress trigger: conflict and lack of authenticity. You can't function in environments where people are fake, where values are compromised, or where relationships are breaking down. You'd rather quit than work in emotional toxicity. How to handle it: create boundaries between your emotions and others. Their stress is not your stress. Their problem is not your problem to carry. Practice saying, "I care about you, but I cannot fix this for you." And remember, sometimes the most caring thing you can do is let people solve their own problems. The Sentinels: order from chaos. If you're a Sentinel personality, the logistician, the defender, the executive, the consul, you handle stress by creating structure where there is none. When everything's falling apart, your instinct is to organize, systematize, and stabilize. You need clear roles, defined expectations, and proven methods. You're not interested in experimental solutions when the old way works perfectly fine. Your strength is reliability. When chaos strikes, you're the person everyone can count on. You'll create the action plan, delegate the tasks, and make sure every detail is handled. You bring order to disorder. But here's your challenge: you can become rigid when flexibility is needed. You'll stick to the plan even when the plan isn't working. You'll resist new approaches because they're unproven. And under extreme stress, you can become controlling or micromanaging. Your stress trigger: unpredictability and lack of structure. You can't stand ambiguity, constantly changing plans, or people who don't follow through on commitments. When nobody seems to have a plan, your anxiety skyrockets. How to handle it: build flexibility into your systems. Create Plan B and Plan C as part of your normal planning process. When stress hits, resist the urge to control everything. Instead, focus on controlling your response. And practice tolerating small amounts of chaos without trying to immediately fix it. The Explorers: adaptation as survival. If you're an explorer personality, the virtuoso, the adventurer, the entrepreneur, the entertainer, you handle stress through action and adaptation. When pressure builds, you don't overthink it. You move. You experiment. You try something, see what happens, and adjust. You're not paralyzed by stress because you trust your ability to figure things out in real time. Your strength is adaptability. While others are frozen by uncertainty, you're already 3 moves ahead, testing solutions and pivoting when needed. You thrive in dynamic environments where quick thinking matters more than careful planning. But here's your pitfall: you can be impulsive under pressure. You'll jump into action before fully understanding the situation. You might create new problems while solving old ones. And you can get bored with stress management strategies that require consistent, repetitive practice. Your stress trigger: restriction and monotony. You can't handle being trapped in rigid systems or forced to follow procedures that make no sense to you. When you can't adapt or innovate, you suffocate. How to handle it: channel your action orientation into strategic experimentation rather than random movement. Before you act, take 60 seconds to consider potential consequences. And build some consistent habits even though they bore you, because when real stress hits, having a foundation matters. Why this actually matters. Now here's where this gets practical. Understanding your stress response isn't about accepting your limitations, it's about predicting your patterns so you can prepare for them. When you know you're an analyst who gets stuck in analysis paralysis, you can set decision deadlines before stress hits. When you know you're a diplomat who absorbs others' emotions, you can build boundaries before you're drowning. When you know you're a sentinel who needs structure, you can create flexible frameworks that satisfy your need for order while allowing adaptation. This is the difference between reactive survival and strategic resilience. Most people just react to stress. They wait until they're overwhelmed, then wonder why their coping mechanisms don't work. But you're not most people. You're someone who understands that self-knowledge is power. The hidden advantage. Here's the secret that changes everything: your stress response is also your strength response. The analysts need to understand systems. That's what makes you an incredible problem solver when you channel it correctly. The diplomat's emotional awareness. That's what makes you an exceptional leader when you set boundaries. The sentinel's need for structure. That's what makes you reliable when everyone else is scattered. The explorer's adaptability. That's what makes you innovative when conditions change. Your stress response isn't a weakness to overcome. It's a signal showing you where to focus your development. When you're stressed in a specific way, your brain is telling you something. This situation violates my core operating system. Instead of fighting that signal, use it. The analyst stressed by incompetence should build better systems. The diplomat stressed by conflict should teach communication skills. The sentinel stressed by chaos should create frameworks. The explorer stressed by restriction should innovate new solutions. Your stress isn't random. It's directional. Building your resilient strategy. So how do you actually use this information? First, identify your default pattern. When stress hits, what do you do first? Analyze. Feel. Organize. Act. That's your baseline response. There's no judgment here, just observation. Second, recognize your triggers before they hit. You now know what situations will stress you specifically. Incompetence. Conflict. Chaos. Restriction. Stop being surprised when these things bother you. They're supposed to. Prepare for them. Third, build compensating strategies. If you're an analyst, practice making decisions with incomplete information. If you're a diplomat, practice emotional boundaries. If you're a sentinel, practice flexibility. If you're an explorer, practice consistent systems. You're not changing who you are, you're expanding your range. Fourth, leverage your natural strengths. Stop trying to handle stress like someone else would. The analyst doesn't need to be more emotional. The diplomat doesn't need to toughen up. Play to your actual strengths while being aware of your blind spots. The real competitive advantage. Here's what most people miss. Understanding your stress response gives you a massive advantage in every area of life. In your career, you can choose roles and environments that work with your natural wiring instead of against it. In relationships, you can communicate your needs clearly instead of expecting others to read your mind. In personal development, you can focus on strategies that actually work for your brain instead of following generic advice. When you know an analyst needs space to think through problems, you stop forcing immediate responses. When you know a diplomat needs emotional processing, you stop dismissing their feelings. When you know a sentinel needs clear expectations, you stop changing plans constantly. When you know an explorer needs freedom to experiment, you stop micromanaging. This isn't just about managing stress. It's about designing a life that works for who you actually are. Most people spend their entire lives fighting against their nature, wondering why they're exhausted. You don't have to be one of them. Look, stress is inevitable. Pressure is coming whether you're ready or not. The economy will fluctuate. Relationships will be tested. Plans will fall apart. That's not negotiable. But how you respond to that stress? That's completely within your control. You're not broken for processing stress differently than others. You're not weak for having specific triggers. You're not wrong for needing what you need to function optimally. You're just human. And humans come in different configurations. The question isn't whether stress will hit you. The question is, when it does, will you understand yourself well enough to navigate it effectively? Because the people who win aren't the ones who never experience stress. They're the ones who know themselves so deeply that they can predict their responses, prepare for their weaknesses, and leverage their strengths when it matters most. That's the real advantage. Not avoiding stress, but knowing exactly how you handle it. Now you know your pattern. Now you know your triggers. Now you know your strengths and your blind spots. The only question left is, what are you going to do with this information? If this resonated with you, subscribe to Finance Decoded Daily for more content that helps you understand yourself and the world around you at a deeper level. Hit that like button if you found value here, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because self-knowledge isn't just power. It's freedom. Now go build the resilience you need for the life you want. You've got this.